A very good evening to all of you. So, the topic which I chose today to talk about is rather an important topic, as well as a topic which is very much related to researcher's life. And that's why I titled the topic as the fate of the academic community and the fate of the researcher in this academic community. As I am observing the kind of a trend and a pattern being into a research since 7 to 8 years of my MPhil and PhD, that the journey which has been portrayed and represented in journals, in articles, in books, in a kind of research community, as well as talking and conversing with our seniors, the kind of process of circulation, or we can say the kind of stages of research, as easy as they seem while talking and conversing about it, on the very other hand, they are really difficult, and they are really full of challenges, full of struggles, full of obstacles, which is dependable on the kind of a context, the kind of a background, and the kind of confrontations which each of us within the research community has to face. So, why this video? The first question is because I really wish to talk about all these things which are going in all around in our minds, whether we are on field, whether we are preparing for our synopsis, whether we are writing down our researches, whatever we are doing, we are engaging in a process of going from unknown to known. And this phase is something which is more or less similar to everybody, whoever is there in research process. So it is an important thing to know some of the crude realities within which this research process is inclusive of, and also to accept the fate of all the struggles, all the challenges, all the obstacles, and even this minor or the macro failures which we have to confront within the research process. I know the point of saying things and the point of accepting things, they are very much different from each other. When we talk about accepting the fate, it's not only about accepting whether I can read well, whether I can write well, whether I can articulate the things which I saw on or observe on the field in the particularly ethical and a neutral sense, and without any judgments. That all things are, haunting us into everyday negotiations of a researcher life. And I don't think whenever, when I feel blank, whenever I open up my laptop, and whenever I feel like, just before writing something down, all the ideas, all the thoughts just vanished out of my mind, and I just become blank for some point of time. So I think this blankness is something which all of us as a researchers has to face. And this is not something which should be shameful of accepting the fact that yes, we fail, yes, we feel sad, yes, we feel depressed, yes, we feel isolated, yes, we don't feel like working some days. Yes, out of 365 days, I can tell you that maybe not all 365 days you will feel passionate about your own research. It's a very monotonous journey, and every day you cannot feel that kind of a same charged up and same motivated kind of a thing towards your research. And let me be very frank, what I'm observing since pandemic and even before pandemic, we are losing trust day by day on our peer groups. And there is a fear of stealing of the idea, stealing of the research process, or stealing of the very unique way of doing so and so in my research. And maybe if I share it with someone else, it could be stole at certain point of manner. And this is a fear which all of us nowadays are struggling with, and that actually hampers us to discuss or to be into argumentation or discussion about our researches within the academic community. Or we being very manipulative, we being very modified, or we being very, that kind of a person where we hide the actual things, but we portray as if, it's lamely. Usually I have seen that people lamely say that, it's just a research process, everybody feel like that, and you don't have to be worry about it, everything is going to happen. Of course everything is going to happen, but when a person comes to you, and when a person, specifically a researcher at the last stage of their PhD, whenever they come to you and whenever they are portraying their feelings in a certain manner, that doesn't mean that they want that kind of a sympathy. Maybe they just want to hear some of the motivating sentences. Maybe they just want to hear your own personal experiences. Maybe they just want to hear that whatever he or she is feeling, whatever they are, having that sort of a discouragement within themselves, maybe they want to hear the similar thing by the other person, because that's how we correlate with each other. We as a human beings, of course, work not only in a identity sense, just to portray or represent ourselves, but of course as a researcher we also portray our personal and social identity within this self mirroring or the mirroring process, where we see ourselves in the mirror, of course, every day, but also we want to see ourselves as a researcher and be the part of the research community at a societal level. And we actually want to have those commonalities, those acceptance of the challenges and struggles which we are not alone to face, but also as a community we have to face. So of course we have to accept the fate of whatever we are dealing with. On the other hand, I do feel that why researchers feel lost within the research processes. The second most important thing of this video is to share that when they feel lost, it's maybe due to whatever they are pursuing. Maybe it's not their passion. Maybe they are following a market trend, or maybe I am seeing all of these young, passionate researchers are asking on Facebook and Instagram and whatnot that what is the kind of a research they should follow, what is the kind of a conceptual framework they should follow. Sorry to say that if you are posting all sort of questions on Facebook and Instagram, you will never feel that passionate about your research, because it is something you are asking for the other person, and research is something which is coming from yourself, which should not be come from outside. It's your inner self, it's something which is very inert, and it's something which is closer to your heart. So it's a process of 4 to 5 years, maybe more than that, and how you are going to deal with it. If the other person is telling you about, this is marketable or this is not marketable, or this is what you should work on. So I think, to have that sort of a kind of passionate and also the kind of encouragement coming from yourself, from your inner self, you need to delve onto the concepts which is coming from your own interest rather than asking it to other people. Thirdly, what I feel is the kind of isolation within the researchers or within the research community is happening because of the obsession of doing something at a faster rate and producing something and doing publications, doing blogs, doing all sort of a things, and just copying or emulating the other person, which maybe have a very different kind of a style for work, but emulating them and thinking that we don't have anything unique in ourselves, we need to follow certain and certain manuals which have been represented in our society in a form of a people, is something we should really restrict ourselves doing so. Everyone in a research community has a unique way of dealing with their own respective researches, and here, especially in social sciences, we don't have any manual. We just have our seniors, we just have our supervisors, we just have our research advisors, and we just have our so-called research community, national and international level, through which we can actually understand how this process can be dealt with. And also, even dealing with all sort of things, reading about all sort of things, getting an understanding of all sort of things, then also we will feel many a times that things are not going that smooth, as smooth it is for other person. Maybe it is for other person because they are telling you in a summary that what all they have experienced and how to go about it. And when as an individual we have to experience it, of course the experience as a lived experience is really different from a experience which we are hearing from these senior persons or professionals, or maybe from research community. So that ways, at the third point, it is very important that we should not be obsessive compulsive about our research and emulating about what others are doing, we have to copy that. No, we don't have to copy that. And apart from that, when we talk about publications, this is something, which is, I'm seeing that especially in Indian academia, it's a kind of a obsession that we just have to get rid of 5 publications, 6 publication, and so on. And if we say that, we have so many publications, we have so and so publications, that actually does make a difference. But truly saying, by my own experiential reality, that a research publication means that something which has been authenticated, something which has that kind of a intellectual enhancement, not only on your point, but also for your readership, also for all the research community who is going to read and refer to your work. It's not only about publishing your work, but it's also about that kind of a knowledge generation, which is not helping only you and the researchers, but also a whole community which has been involved in this kind of a process. So I think we should, be remain very patient in our own self, where we don't have to copy it from the other people, but we actually has to, be very specific about what we have to publish, what we have to go about, and what is it is going to impact. The kind of a sociological significance which we talk about, one of the sub theme being covered in our synopsis and our thesis and our dissertations, it's not something which is just limited to writing down within the thesis and dissertations. It's something which we, in a specific discipline, as a researcher, needs to constantly engage in everyday life. And we need to actually think before publishing, or before even going into publication of all these researches, whichever we are doing at our own end, that what is the impact of all these researches on the readership or on the community which are going to refer to this work. So I would like to wind up this video by saying that, accepting those crude realities, accepting whoever you are as a researcher, accepting your uniqueness, accepting even if you are slow, even if you take a lot of time. Like for example, me, I take a lot of time to read, and on the other hand, when I articulate it, most of the times I feel blank. Opening up the laptop, writing down the notes, all the things are very different when you actually implement it. So just taste the cup of tea which is your own cup of tea, and just try to make things interesting and try to make things creative with your own imagination, with your own path of research. Nobody else is going to design your own research, nobody else is going to help you out with your own research. So right from selecting to the topic till submitting your research, I think you as an individual has a lot to do, has a lot to reflect on, and take it as a learning experience. We should never think as submitting our phds and thesis would make us a better individual. Of course it make us a better individual, but not in an absolute sense. Researching is something, once we are into academia, it's a constant process throughout our lifetime. So I think we need to reflect on our own flaws, we need to reflect on our own uniqueness, and we need not to feel isolated and depressed, because if we try to copy and emulate other people, of course that is something which is going to happen to us, because we are not going to have a cloning sort of a thing of other persons and other activities whatever they are engaging in. So my urge to all the research community is that be unique, be yourself, and be true to your research. Be passionate about your research. I accept my fate. Even if I failed, I don't care about the society. I don't care about the society in the sense what they feel about me, because the more important thing is that what I feel about me and what I feel about my research. And for any further discussions and any further argumentations, or even if you want to talk to me, I will be available on my email, and you can also comment on this YouTube video. I will be overwhelmed by your comments. Thank you.